Think you're muted. So yeah, I definitely do there, Rainmaker. How's it going? Can you hear me? Awesome, cool. Yeah, I apologize. I'm getting some dinner going, so this is perfect for doing 10-minute quick talk. So wait a second, I'm gonna get set up, get my screen shared, turn on my video so everybody can see my face. If you haven't seen me before, I apologize for you having to see it again. But yeah, definitely. Here we go on. Yep, that sounds good. Oh, baby. So y'all got video. Yeah, craziness there. There you go. I am. I'm actually sitting out back. I don't know if this is the correct one. Yeah, there we go. Um, cool. So what I wanted to kind of run through tonight in a 10-minute segment is really touching upside down in terms of the way that we as people are interacting and operating, and it's having a toll from a mental standpoint. I'm sure we felt it. Some of you know other people that have actually felt it, or this is the mental health issues that are currently at the top of the list, according to several studies and government agencies in the COVID world and in a pandemic. How do you cope? What resources are out there? And then some open discussion. I really want this to kind of be an open, lively talk back and forth if you can. Kind of give others opportunity you may be doing to cope. So we'll open it up for an open discussion there. But first
Yeah.
thing is mental health issues in a
Today
COVID
is moving
world.
virtual, so I'm attending.
Cool. So the COVID pandemic has definitely increased several mental health issues, and people may have never had issues before, right? Me professionally and personally, knowing people that are usually pretty rock solid people that haven't ever displayed any signs of mental health issues before have come out and saying that they're really having a hard time and stressed out about what's going on, right? And then people with pre-existing conditions is really creating a a toll for individuals by adding an additional layer of stress, and so underlying conditions are being even further perpetuated and highlighted. So, during an infectious disease outbreak or pandemic, regardless of what your feelings are on this, let's be realistic. The world has changed, right? It may be a hoax, it may not be a hoax. I'm not going to get into that side of it, but really to focus on the fact that we no longer can interact like we used to. For example, DHA should be tonight, and here we are online. Typically, that is a social outing for individuals, and it is a release for individuals from the daily grind, right? It's cool that we have technology to be able to do things like this now. And so, what are some of those stresses in this outbreak that are being actually seen and realized? Fear and worry about your own health or the health of your loved ones and friends, right? Having that secondary worry, even survivor guilt, right? So let's say the family member or someone that close has been impacted by this. It's potentially survivor's guilt that's involved there. There's major changes in eating and sleeping patterns, difficulty sleeping or concentrating, worsening of chronic health problems or the arising of new health problems, mental or physical, and then an increase in alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, right? So people turn to different things to actually cope. And what are some of those? How can you take and cope and really try and alleviate some of that mental the issues that may be cropping up that you may or may not be aware of, right? Take a break from consuming news about the pandemic. Get off of the socials, get out of the newspapers, which are now digital. Quit listening to the radio about it. Quit talking about it with people and talk about positive things in the world and in life, right? Take care of your body. Take slow, deep breaths if you're feeling overwhelmed and anxious. Get up and stretch regularly, right? One of the things from a work perspective that's happened, we now are actually being required in some instances to provide more in productivity because we're always available. There's no reason why people should be late to meetings, right? There's no reason why there shouldn't be deliverables available on the time that people say that. Because of that, which is not true, businesses feel that way, right? And so what you have to do is really take the time to break out, get up and stretch, take 15 minutes and do a workout. Maybe take 15 minutes and meditate every hour, right? So put 45 minutes of work in, take a 15-minute break or half hour or an hour, depending on how you best function. Really take into consideration giving yourself the opportunity to step away from what you're doing. Change your behaviors and habits, right? We work all day long, probably in this field, or you're at school and you're grinding on work for school, or, let's say you're not even in this field, but work in general is grinding at you. So change the habits that you have after work. If you come home and you're typically diving off into the same type stuff, you're going to hit a level and a wall of burnout, and your productivity across the board is going to go down. It's being realized now. Some of the statistics that are out there, there was a huge spike in productivity right when this onset of change took place. And now there's been a huge drop. It's a huge vertical or inverted V. And there's no telling where the bottom of that V is going to be now that we're in that trough, right? So it'll be interesting to find out and see, and to be a person that can actually help flatten that curve as well. Is really to take care of yourself at the end of the day. So it's really important to stay healthy by eating well balanced meals, right? Get plenty of rest and sleep. It's really really easy in this time to have your sleep disrupted, right? And then furthermore, avoid antidepressants such as alcohol and drugs. There's others that are out there, but those are the obvious ones. And so take into consideration of what you're consuming that may be a depressant for you. Here's some resources. Do you need help or do you know somebody that might need some help? If you or someone that you actually care about feels overwhelmed with emotions or like sadness, depression, anxiety, or you may even feel like you want to harm yourself or others, man, call 911 immediately, right? Or visit the disaster helpline, distress helpline. It's a government government setup. So I mean, that's one thing. I think that's really a huge increase on. And so, if you're aware of or subject to, here is a way that you can reach out. And then, furthermore, that's on here that I didn't put on here that I want to talk about is you're doing one of the best things that you can do right now, reaching out and being a part of an active community, right? So, taking the time to be engaged and be involved with others will help from a mental health perspective. Call your friends and family off or people that are trusted advisors to you and foster and leverage those relationships. On a kind of me, I'll do out of I've set minutes every hour I take after 45 minutes of working. And what I do is I'll out or I may watch TV, may make some music. I take my work, sharing and quit talking as well. Anybody else got some recommendations of what they do? What do you think? This
You guys,
Yeah.
awesome. So, one of the things that I've been doing is, in the daily life of, on the red team, it's rush, rush, rush. Push hard and just accomplish your goals. But as you said, that right now we're kind of expected to essentially be on call 24/7, right? We're a captive audience sitting at home at our computers because we're just a bunch of nerds, right? That's what we do. Um, I've pushed myself and also my team to take a step back and don't push yourself to that limit. I don't want people to do that. Period. But it still does happen, right? Because that's what we do. We challenge ourselves. But right now, it's especially important to pay attention to that. Pay attention to yourself, um, and be mindful because I know a number of people outside of even just our industry that drinking is picked up, like you said, domestic violence, all those things. This brings out the worst in unfortunately, being stuck with someone maybe you necessarily don't want to be stuck with, all right? But being mindful of yourself, trying to pay attention to your mood, your heart rates, things like that, watching for indicators. Hey, I'm about to get worked up and yell at someone on a video chat. Well, that's probably not a good idea. Just keeping those things in mind, and like you said, take a step away, go for a walk. I mean, I have a dog, so I just go walk my dog, and I'm really fucking tired of going and walking all the time. It, it's a great way for me to get away from the computer. Yeah.
hear me? Excellent. My screen. I did not have a prepared talk, but I have been absolutely in love with open source tool called Remina. Now I've used Remina for years. With many of you have heard me talk about exploit. Did use this for VNC and RDP access, client access, but released aggressive new versions recently this year, quite a few that have taken it to an entirely different level. And now I use the tool almost exclusively to manage deployed Telesploit servers. So I'd just like to give a quick overview of it. This is their website. They are very, very open source, copyleft to Libra. If you want to donate, their preferred methods are Bitcoin or LibraPay. So they are definitely part of that movement. They have a GitHub. Well, not sorry. They do not have a GitHub. They had a GitHub because of that open source, and they moved to GitLab. So they have a GitLab. I've submitted 3 different bug kits. I've had it bugs and even a feature request implemented within a day. So the developers, they're very active, very engaging, and do support them if you like the product. We not only support them monetarily, but are trying to work on some of the documentation for them. They said right now they've had such an uptick in interest in the tool that while money is definitely nice, they could really use developers, anybody to add to the project or handle bugs. Show real quick. I believe it's only Linux, although there was, I did see a 2. I have not attempted it, but basically using Windows subsystem for Linux and creating it as an X server app that you could run it in Windows. Well, you'd basically be running in WSL, but you'd be able to see the window. Anyway, right here, a demo. Can you see that page? Okay. What I've done is I've pre-created some entries to connect to a demo server. I'd like to walk real quick on how you create these entries. These are the different types of things or activities you can perform within Remina, and it will create these groups. You see demo support, Telesploit, anything you put under there, it will create a single pane of glass for all. So you could have multiple servers, and each server you can have your SSH VNC for that server as tabs on the top, which we'll see. Have it run just a simple execute command. So it just, whenever you click on that, it'll run the command on the local machine. Work like I can do a touch for a file, but anything that requires an input, like entering the passphrase for an SSH key, I have not been able to get it to work for that. And everybody's familiar with X technology, No Machine. It's a basically RDP, but open. It's proprietary. It's free for personal. Notice here they have these pre-command and post-command. So if you want to, before you launch this, something or create a setup script, and then after you close the window to have it complete another postscript, you can have that there. Enter your information to quality, all of that. Have some additional features that you'll find in, like your VMware and that type of stuff, of clipboards and all of that. And if you need to set up an SSH tunnel, you'll find this on most of the connections before you connect. So you run your No Machine connection through an SSH tunnel. You can have it establish it automatically here. Very similar. Everyone's familiar with the RDP protocol, same kinds of options. It has a built-in SFTP server. What I really like about this, when I would do demos of Telesploit, I'd have a command, basically a shell open to create the tunnels, to connect to a console. Every console for every server would be one of those shells, and you'd have to figure out where you are, which one is that, and then would use FileZilla for SFTP. So you'd have to have an instance of that for every single server you're connecting to, and which server are you on. Very confused very quickly. It's within that single pane of glass. Spice is an open source project basically that's meant to, I don't use it, but it's meant to provide a interface to virtual machines that's consistent, so across virtual machine platforms, which is what you would expect. Again is interesting. It will basically, you give it a URL and it will connect to that and have a window there. I use this primarily for if I'm running Nessus on a Telesploit device. That now I use the built-in Squid server on the Telesploit server, and just have it at web face open here within that single class to manage the Nessus server instead of having to go to VNC and open a web browser and go through that whole kludgy mess. And then finally, X remote sessions. It does handle. I won't be showing that here. What we need to first do is establish the connection to the relay and build our tunnels so that we can connect to the Telesploit device. Open up. They do have a shell plugin. It was available in the Snap, but because it was in Ubuntu Snap and was not allowed to be run in classic mode, limited on what it could do. So move to the stable, and actually I'm on the move to the branch, and that did not have access to the shell. We're doing something going wrong. Okay, let me see. I'm on E013. Okay. Create my tunnels, which I just have a script here for. Now you see up here, we have this window, demo 1 connect. That's where I'm here on my local machine, set up the tunnels. I can go back here and connect Blade server by just running the SSH that's been pre-configured for my local port. It will ask for my credentials. You can have it store it. I don't do that. And server, and as you see up here, that's that tab. This is the tab for our local machine that we have, and we can continue to go through the different pre-set up our SFTP. Enter the SSH credentials again. It's a SFTP server, but now you don't have to launch FileZilla or a separate thing, and you're in this single pane of glass. So everything for the demo 1 server will be tabs up here. Same thing with